Welcome to another edition of the Banner Press Coaches Show. I'm Chris Wimmer from the Banner Press. I'm here as always with Brenham High School head football coach Glen West. Thanks for coming again, Coach. We appreciate it. Like I said before, no rambling setup for me this time around. We're going right into the football.
Okay.
So to do that, this is obviously week number 1 for district season. You got Magnolia West coming up. Brenham is going to travel to Magnolia West, but you just came off a bye week. So let's just quickly recap the bye week. I think when you and I talked last time, you wanted to give the guys a little bit of rest. You wanted to work on some fundamentals, particularly on defense, and then you were going to start game planning for Magnolia West. So how did all that go?
We think it went well, but the proof will be how it turns out Friday night.
Sure, of course. So diving right into Magnolia West. From what I've seen this time around, they're 2-0. Obviously, they seem to have a pretty good rushing attack. This game looks like it could shape up to be a battle of two good rushing teams. They put together a lot of rushing yards in their win over Navasota and Bryan. So I guess the first question is, how do you outduel a similar opponent? What's the key to beating someone that's somewhat similar to in style?
Well, they're a very physical football team. They pride themselves on that. They're huge. You'll see in their offensive line, it's massive. They're very, very physical, always have been, and they pride themselves on really bringing that to the game and being more physical than you are. A quarterback that runs very well, but also is effective throwing the ball. Two really tall wide receivers, but they've thrown 29 times. They're going to run the football more than they're going to throw it, but they can throw it and be effective. We just have to be very, very disciplined, and we've got to match them physically. Even though we're smaller, we're going to have to step up and be very, very physical against them. And we've got to be able to stop the run. First downs are going to be important.
Right.
Got to get them in long yardage situations. Because that's something they don't like to do.
Yeah, is there something that the defense can focus on when you're trying to stop what it seems to be like a three-headed monster in their rushing attack? The running back or the quarterback is a very good rusher. They also have a junior and a senior running back, so three guys who can carry the ball very effectively. When you have all those options, what's the key to making sure what do you focus on to make sure that you can squash that?
Number one, you've got to play very fast and very hard.
Okay.
You've got to play with leverage. They're big. If we stand up, we're going to get knocked around. Got to tackle well, we've got to make first downs count. We've got to put them in long yardage situations on second and third downs. It's going to be a very, very challenging game. Going over there and playing them, we beat them at the last year. Kind of came from behind. They remember that. And this can put you at a great advantage if you win this first district game, especially on the road. Yeah,
get that first one under your belt, especially like you said, a road game. Can you use it? Focusing a little bit on the size of their offensive line, can you use speed to slightly balance that out? If you're not quite as big, you want to play physical with them. Can you also use speed to try to get around that?
Well, we certainly hope so because we are faster than they are, but most of their runs are between the tackles, and so how do you handle that and take care of your flanks? I mean, we're working really hard at that, and hopefully we can be successful. We're going to try to.
Sure, and then this coming week, from the research I've been able to do, it looks like the most turnover in the Magnolia West defense was in their secondary. And we know, as we've talked about a couple times, that deep post route has worked for you well. I'm sure we're going to see that again, and we obviously don't want you to give away any of the trade secrets, but what are the other elements of the passing game that you might be able to use this week to keep building the foundation that's maybe obviously not the route that we've seen? What are the other elements you can use to get Kendary and Ray comfortable and keep making the passing game more effective?
Well, I think we've got to throw the ball more and be effective with it. And obviously in every defense there's something they're giving you. There's something that they're making it, they're allowing you to do. And we've got to be able to be effective in those ways. If we don't make them, they'll crowd the line of scrimmage and play us very tight, and we'll have a hard time moving the ball. So we have to be able to spread them out somewhat, and to do that, that's throwing the football. Yeah,
so deciphering what that one thing is as early as you possibly can will certainly be a key to it. Like in the Episcopal game, you realized they were really bringing those safeties down to the box. You had that one-on-one coverage, so figuring out what that one thing is.
Absolutely, and one of the things that we've been able to do offensively is that we haven't gotten ourselves in a lot of binds. We haven't had a ton of penalties. We haven't had a ton of turnovers. So those are things that we've got to keep continuing to do, and we're going to run the football. It's just how we do it.
Right. So as we wrap things up here, overall, how prepared do you feel the guys are? How are they feeling going into district game number 1? The season really begins now.
I think they're really excited. I know the coaching staff is, and we had a really good practice yesterday. They understand the magnitude of this. Certainly if you don't win this game, you're not out by any means, but boy, it gives you a great advantage if you can win, especially on the road. They're prepared for a very, very tough contest. They know it's going to be a battle. They understand it'll probably be won in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the ball game.
Sure.
And so, I think if you start that mindset now and you plan on that happening, then hopefully, as you get to that point, you can make it happen. It's going to be a tough game. We have a ton of respect for them. They're a really good football team, and they're undefeated and beating Bryan and Navasota, and they're going to do very well in the district as well.
Yeah, I think as I was just doing some more research, listening to a podcast, I think Navasota might have beaten Stafford last week, if I'm not mistaken, which is always a good team. I hope I'm right on that. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what happened. Stafford always a good team from the Houston area there. So Navasota's no joke. Bryan's no joke either.
No, it's like I said, this district race is going to be like this every week. It's kind of fun because. We're not thinking about anything but right now, and I can't tell you about anybody who's playing in the district
right.
because I really don't care.
Right, of course. Well, that's it. We're going to wrap it up here, short and sweet for this week's Coaches Show. Brenham traveling to Magnolia West this coming Friday night. Come out and support the team. We'll see you next week.
Okay.